And a real quick mulligan from him. Same with Caleb. Both players wasting no time. Not much for beating around the bush. We saw that with Caleb in the quarterfinals. His opponent didn't even decide whether he wanted to mulligan, and he had already sent his back. So Caleb taking this top four pretty casually. Really just has so many trophies on his mantle that another one must not faze him here. And as you might be able to hear through the pickup in our microphones, this room is emptying out. So me and Matthias will have to be a little quieter because we don't want to inadvertently give the players any information. If if someone's thinking about what to name with Cabal Therapy and we say what would be really bad to name in their hand, well, that substantially alters the tournament. We can't have that. So if we're a little too quiet, let us know. We'll turn up the volume on our mics. But for right now, we have to maintain the sanctity of the match. These players are also pretty friendly. It seems like they know each other. A lot of the guys from this area, they're no strangers to traveling to PTQs, to traveling to opens, travel 8 hours, 10 hours for a PTQ, where for someone like myself in the Northeast, that's almost unheard of. So here we go. Players drawing their 6. And Ben Robinson looks like at least one land. Volcanic Island, and yep, he'll keep. So Volcanic Island go for Ben. Caleb, just an island. No top for Caleb. No 1-drop for Ben. So the Brainstorm on 2 for Ben. He has the luxury of not having to play around any kind of Daze or Spell Pierce effects in this matchup. Caleb's only counters are the actual card Counter Spell and Force of Will. Not anything Ben has to be worried about in the early game. So Brainstorm is at full power here as he'll put 2 cards back and then use a fetch land. This will fetch up a Trop, with which Ben will play a 1-drop. I think he had a Nimble Mongoose in hand. Nimble Mongoose, not Ben's strongest card against Caleb, though it does dodge the Swords to Plowshares. If a Rest in Peace were ever to resolve, it's just perma 1/1. It looks like he chose not to play the Nimble, chose instead to keep up Stifle, to keep up Spell Pierce. Ben Robinson playing it slow against Caleb.
And Nimble Mongoose actually there draws the counterspell from Caleb, possibly because a lot of Caleb's removals being targeted. I mean, he actually has a little bit of difficulty right now with the Nimble Mongoose.
Right, and interesting that Ben chose not to fight over that counterspell. He's saving that Spell Pierce for a better time, like right now.
Right, and definitely good play. Counterbalance is one of those cards that he really does not want to have resolve.
Yeah, just a card that really shuts down his deck if Caleb ever found a top.
Caleb can Force of Will back, and it'll probably work. And this is certainly the card that Caleb wants to fight over. Caleb, I think, is going to elect to fight over Jace.
Yeah. The cards that Caleb's going to fight over right now, if he's not fighting over Counterbalance, that means he wants to play a Jace game, he wants to play a Rest in Peace Helm game, or maybe an Entreat the Angels game.
Yeah, so Wasteland is going to get Caracas, and the Nimble Mongoose made by Ben Robinson. That is now 5 cards in Ben Robinson's graveyard. Remember, one of the big things he has to watch out for is actually a resolved Rest in Peace is very good against Ben Robinson's clock. Caleb, no more plays.
Wow, Caleb can just say go. Ben Robinson trying some blanks, though. The 2 Stifles not doing anything right now, and the Forked Bolt really just a shock.
A shock, and then he knows it, so he's going to play it as such.
Exactly. It can maybe take 2 counters off Jace, but Ben wisely decides he's going to save the 1 mana.
I mean, the best thing is it's the 6th card in his graveyard,
right,
which is...
That's even more important.
I mean, that's the purpose of it there. So Ben Robinson going to cast another Nimble Mongoose. Caleb has drawn a Terminus. He has now a Terminus counterspell. That's gonna draw a counterspell. And wisely, Ben Robinson playing it pre-combat. That's the 7th card. Caleb will knock down to 14.
Yep. So that Nimble Mongoose full power right now, and Caleb still just no white mana. The Wasteland on Caracas really costing him there.
Yep, Nimble Mongoose swings 3. Caleb drops down to 11. Ben putting big pressure on him. His hand number 2 Stifles, and I don't know the 3rd card.
I think that is a Dismember.
All right, so really a bunch of blanks. And there we go. Brainstorm for Caleb Durward. That's going to set up everything.
Yep. That said, though, Ben Robinson has the stifle for the inevitable fetch.
Right. But he has Glacial Fortress and not a fetch land.
Wow. So the top of Caleb's deck must be good. Ben Robinson just really not drawing the cards he needs to in this match. He had a double stifle opener, but Caleb's hand just happened to have no fetch lands this time.
He's going to stifle the Miracle trigger on Terminus.
Wow.
So Caleb not going to be able to draw it, to Miracle it. He's going to have to draw it instead. Clearly not something you'd be pleased about.
No, and Caleb thinking about Force of Willingness here.
Well, he needs to find some way to get rid of the Nimble Mongoose. He doesn't have too many plays left. All right, and another land into play. Remember, Caleb now could threaten to chase, but because it has Shroud, you know, Nimble
we'll make sure that
Mongoose-
Terminus goes back to his hand.
Yeah, the Terminus actually should be in his hand, not
Right.
in his graveyard, so we'll catch on that. He's going to Miracle, and he did, and that one he didn't know about at all.
Right.
Caleb, drawing the answers.
So now the judge is going to step in, ask them why the Terminus is not in the hand. They'll rectify that if they can. Only one turn has passed.
Wow, and, you know, I think that Terminus there really one of the only draws that could have, one of the few draws that helped Caleb in that situation.
I
The
think,
second one, Dean, he didn't know about it, did he?
I think he might have through the brainstorm. I'm not sure if that
Okay.
was the third card drawn or the second.
Okay, so both Terminuses were known. Yes, actually, so when you stifle a Miracle trigger, it actually, they still draw the card, they just can't Miracle it. Yes, now they're walking in on rectifying that, and I don't think that's not a missed trigger either. The card just simply should be in Caleb's
Yeah,
hand.
that's just illegally happened. There's no way for that to happen in the rules, but it looks like Terminus will remain in the yard.
Okay.
More than a turn cycle has passed.
So more than turn cycle passed, it's not particularly relevant how it got there, more just that it is there.
Right.
And
So
Caleb, now it's very clear that there's no counter spell in Ben Robinson's hand. Caleb's probably just going to go for a Mind Sculptor. Yeah, they said the backup is too complicated, so they're just going to leave it as it is. That's the official ruling.
so
And a wasteland for Ben Robinson. He's going to waste the Glacial Fortress. Still no more plays, and as they go, Caleb down to 4 life currently because of the Force of Will. Remember, so Caleb, the difference is he doesn't really, because he's at 4 life, he's not particularly comfortable tapping out for Jace right here.
Right.
That puts him at a number that's really not a very fun number against Rogue Delver.
exactly no. Last turn, he didn't tap out for Jace because A, it would walk into a daze, and
He'll
B,
say go.
that reason exactly, the lightning bolt.
I mean, the bigger problem, I think, what he doesn't know here is that, you know, it is safe.
Yeah.
And actually, by doing this now, Ben Robinson probably will make it unsafe.
Yeah, Ben Robinson gets a lot of extra draw phases, a lot of extra
Wow,
turns
just
here.
he gets rid of this is such a good brainstorm. He gets rid of this dismember, this land.
Yeah.
That's just a straight ancestral recall for him.
Perfect. And if you ever doubt the power of brainstorm, look
Right
at that
there,
brainstorm
that was
right
so
there.
good. Suddenly, Ben Robinson goes from, you know, I mean, he drew 3 cards for 1 mana.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
Dismember an actual dead card unless it's killing it, and entreat the angel token, in which case you've already lost.
Right now, so Ben Robinson probably going to milk it for all it's worth. Maybe, I would think, making a Delver of Secrets here. You're going to leave up that red mana. Now, Caleb has Counterspell and Enlightened Tutor. He may he has Humble Obedience, Enlightened Tutor. He may try to just turbo the combo out at Ben.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. I think he realizes now that, I don't know, playing around Lightning Bolt is so difficult because the spell costs 1 mana, and the more time you give Rug Delver, the more likely it is that they're going to cantrip into these Lightning Bolts.
Right. I mean, eventually, yeah, Ben Robinson's deck is very good at finding cards like Lightning Bolt.
And here's a Ponder.
Tarmogoyf, Stifle, Brainstorm. You have to keep that one again. Yeah, so much more dig. I think it's just a great spell.
Yeah, Stifle, very good right here, actually.
Yeah, Stifle's gonna be able to stop Caleb from getting another mana. So yeah, and he acknowledged that he sees that. So he's gonna wasteland the Dust Bowl.
And interesting bait from Ben Robinson. He was trying. I actually really like the way that Ben Robinson's trying to play this game. He's really selling Caleb on the fact that he's a Lightning Bolt. Everything he does from the wastelanding the Dust Bowl.
Wow. Okay, Ben Robinson is just, man, hook, line, and sinker taking Caleb in on this Lightning Bolt.
Yeah, I really like the way Ben has played this game.
It's kind of fun. They're playing a game where Caleb pretends to have Counterspell. Ben pretends to respect that Counterspell, and thus is playing around it with his Lightning Bolt, none of which of these cards even exist.
Right. high-level Magic at its best. Ben Robinson brainstorming again. The problem here is all these lands are pretty good. Or, I'm sorry, all these cards are pretty good here. The worst is Wasteland.
I mean, he can even Wasteland fetch.
Yeah, it's really not that bad. Caleb might just have to let it resolve.
Mm-hmm. Depending on how well Ben Robinson has sold Lightning Bolt, it's not the worst play.
Nope, so he'll keep the Stifle.
He's going to stifle the fetch, not Lightning Bolt. Okay, jig's up.
Yep.
Ben doesn't actually have Lightning Bolt. Okay, I think Caleb knows it now.
Yep.
He's going to draw a basic. That's a very good draw here.
Yeah, I believe this Delver is going to flip and end the game right here, though. The Lightning Bolt.
Lightning Bolt. Yeah, like, whoa. So,
Overkill, Ben. Overkill.
all right.
So Ben Robinson takes game one, and I have to think, if Caleb just tapped out for the Jace that one turn, that would have been a way different game.
Yeah, most definitely.
And, you know, this goes back to the conversation we were having a few rounds ago. Sometimes you can respect the possibility of days, and sometimes you just can't afford to.
Yeah.
I remember Justin Uppel played himself out of the match that we were watching, or at least the game, because he didn't go for his spells, and the possibility of days was enough. That time walk was enough.
Right. So
welcome back to the booth. I'm Zach Hall.
I'm Matthias Hunt.
And we're currently in the semifinals of the St. Louis Open Legacy.
Ben Robinson, last undefeated player, trying to make it all the way undefeated through the tournament. He's been as we said there, a really adept Rug Delver pilot there. He really, he ran like the long con through that whole game. Where secretly Lightning Bolt he was going to kill Caleb with was on top of his deck on the last turn.
Exactly.
It wasn't actually in his hand.
It was an act all along, Caleb.
Yeah, no, really a strong play. I really enjoy watching. Really a fun thing to watch when a player, gets in the zone like that.
These 8 players, though, these aren't the only players that are going to win something this weekend.
No, you as well may be able to win something. So we're in the top 4. We're going to give out a trivia question. This one is for
6 months of Star City Games Premium. And I'll tell you how this little trivia question is going to work.
All right.
We're going to ask you a question, and you guys have to tweet, well, not even tweet us, tweet the answer with SCG Premium. And if you do and you have the right answer, you'll be entered into a random drawing to win 6 months of free premium. Now, you had a pretty good question. Do you want to save that one for the finals, or do you want to use it now?
We'll go ahead and throw one out right now. Okay,
cool.
So what question we're going to ask has to do with players on the Star City circuit. This weekend, we had one of the bigger rising stars on the Star City circuit. We taught one of our themes going on day 2 is that a lot of players are looking at repeat top 8s.
Many.
Standard champion Ryan Forsberg lost his win and ended up finishing 10th, not making, I think 9th or 10th, not very close, 11th.
Yeah, but 11th for Ryan Forsberg, top 16.
But there was one player who was able to top 8 both halves of this. Both opens this weekend. It's one of the rising stars in the game, and we're looking for that player's name. So once you have that player's name, please tweet that at Star City, with hashtag SCG Premium.
Exactly. You can tweet at SCG Live, but this is the one you really need, SCG Premium. Who is the player who has top 8'd 2 opens this weekend?
All right. So we're going to bring you back into the match now. Both players are still shuffling up. Caleb, and as we said before, kind of a lengthy sideboarding process.
Yeah, Caleb takes his time with the sideboarding and wants to make sure that, especially with all these one-ofs, that he sideboards correctly.
All right. So when looking at things out, this is certainly something where everybody knows what their sideboard plan going into this is. As we said before, Ben Robinson, we've seen him play this match once before. He did board in Pyroblasts and Red Blasts, and I don't believe he boarded much else in. Life from the Loam. I believe he did board in Loam last time.
Yeah,
he didn't know what the deck was doing. I can't think he's boarding in Life from the Loam this time.
No, we definitely won't see a Loam, especially with the number of basics that are in Caleb's deck. Caleb has 5 island, 3 plains, and a player as good and as experienced at Legacy as Caleb will not just be haphazardly fetching up non-basics.
Well, there's also the problem that Caleb's playing 3 Rest in Peace in the main deck.
Yeah, that too.
I remember that was when Ben Robinson drew a Life from the Loam when Rest in Peace was on the battlefield.
Yeah, and then went to his discard phase and discarded it.
Discarded it. He's like, okay, all right, you got me.
Yep. So Ben Robinson likely has 1 Vendelion and the 3 Red Blasts.
Right. On Caleb's side for sideboarding, so we talked a little bit about this before. He's just Supreme Verdict, Path to Exile. Spells, probably not Spell Snare, but just Supreme Verdict, Path to Exile. Those kind of, he just wants more removal, needs to survive. The matchup is structurally a little bit in Caleb's favor. So right now Caleb keeps on 7, Ben Robinson does mulligan to 6.
Right, and I can't help but think that Ben Robinson being on the play for that game one helped so much. As it turns out, Caleb didn't really have a great draw. He only had one white source, but Ben Robinson being on the draw meant that he could really sculpt the game the way he wanted, tap out on the turns he wanted to, not having to hold up, say, a Spell Pierce for any possible Jace.
There's so many lines out of Rug Delver. They're so much more powerful on the play. You know, Delver, turn 1 Delver, turn 2 Wasteland, turn 3 Wasteland. That's so much better on the play. It's, you know, it's backbreakingly good on the play.
Exactly, and only okay on the draw depending on what you're playing against.
Right.
Now, this kind of brings me back to what you were saying earlier, how you wanted to see the mathematical equation for...
I called it tempo-ness of a deck.
Sorry, I'll use the more correct term, tempo-ness of the deck. The winning percentage on the play minus the winning percentage on the draw.
Right. For some decks, I imagine with Caleb's deck, it has a very low tempo-ness, you know.
Yeah, it doesn't matter much for Caleb.
If the answers are there, they're there. What more matters is his hand composition. The extra card versus the tempo, not the most relevant thing. It only matters when his opponent is a deck like Ben Robinson, because he wants to take Robinson off the play.
Exactly. More take him off the play rather than take the play himself. That's what really matters.
Right.
So Caleb looks like he is keeping his 7 there. He kept pretty quickly, looks...
Yep, on the play he kept it.
Yep. Hard to read much from a player as experienced as Caleb. You know, maybe some newer players not used to the feature match area, not used to the cameras, the lights, might let a little more show, but Caleb's been here quite a few times before.
Ben going to 5 cards, it looks like. Yeah, Ben is on 5 cards. So turn 1, fetching basic island for Caleb Durward. This is he's kept on 5. Misty Rainforest, he's going to crack to get probably a drop, and that'll go for Nimble Mongoose. But Ben, you know, very short on cards here.
Right.
Rog Delver, not the best mulliganing deck.
No, now if the game goes long, Ben Robinson can crawl back into it with a nice with a series of ponders and brainstorms, getting back those cards. But Caleb, looks like he has Energy Field and Rest in Peace in his hand.
Ooh, and that can be that combo once assembled. Ben does have Red Blasts, you know, to disrupt it, but that's really all he has.
Yeah, 3 Red Blasts are his answer. He also has 2 Crows and Grip on the board, which he might or might not have sided in.
And Ben, rather than going for a turn 1 mana creature, is going to leave up Brainstorm, or he's going to leave up his spells instead.
Yeah, this is exactly what he did game 1. This really speaks to how he thinks the matchup should play out, how he wants to play it out.
He's going to crack, instead of brainstorming to crack before cracking fetch line, he's just going to go ahead and crack it right away. So now get all his mana online, play accordingly.
Yeah, this is interesting. This is kind of a different line than he took last game. He didn't play his creature on turn 1, but he also brainstormed on turn 2 with the fetch up.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the different line requires a different game for him. He also doesn't have any bad cards to put back right now because he was on 5. So it's not even like, oh,
I mean, fetch then brainstorm. I don't think what he's trying to do, I think he's trying to mana screw Caleb. He really wants to stifle that land. He doesn't particularly have bad cards to get rid of. So it's interesting to say the least.
Yeah, I'm not sure the logic behind that one. He doesn't even have a Nimble Mongoose to play. He's still keeping up Spell Pierce.
Right. And it's working out here. Caleb actually stuck on lands. I mean, Top will take care of that in due time.
Right.
And now we're gonna see probably Ben make an aggressive move for finally getting a creature on the board, and it's Nimble Mongoose.
Right, and you know the damage that Ben Robinson missed for that Mongoose not being on board, it's not much. It was 2 damage.
Right. So Caleb finds a land. It's a basic Plains, a Helm of Obedience, Swords to Plowshares. Swords won't help too much. Helm, pretty good. He does now have the full combo, Helm, Rest in Peace. Second basic. Entreat the Angels. Also in Caleb's name. Not a stellar one right there.
Wow, what Caleb really needs is a brainstorm. He needs to fix his hand fast.
Go for Rest in Peace, and that's gonna easily bait a stifle from Ben Robinson. Probably maybe a little aggressive of Caleb to go for that, but he didn't really have many other plays.
Right, he's happy trading 1 for 1 here because all his spells are so
I think
expensive.
Robinson is playing this very adeptly.
Yep, Caleb. Wow, Caleb's hand really is just it's very junky.
Clunky.
Yeah, he has a force.
All right, he's
going to
go for the fetch. Ben not stifling it.
I'm not sure that he has a stifle.
I was under the impression that he had. Oh, sorry, I was under the impression that he had a stifle.
Maybe it is.
Maybe it's a brainstorm. I think so. I think he's got a stifle.
Oh, okay, so that's interesting that he's not stifling that. Versus an opponent who's missed land drops, it seems like that's the perfect opportunity for the stifle. And it looks like Caleb's going for the force.
And he wants to fetch his land before going through the forest. He wants to make sure he can play around days.
Right. And yeah, that is a Brainstorm in Ben Robinson's hand. His hand is Brainstorm, Force of Will for blue cards.
He's going to Brainstorm.
Yep, now Ben
Here
Robinson...
comes the big fight here. Robinson, can he find another counterspell to play with? And he hits the Stifle. That's not going to do anything.
Nope, but it does pitch to Force of Will to keep that Rest in Peace off the board. That'll put...
And I think that's what he's going to do.
6 cards in his graveyard, too. The Wasteland will make 7, although it won't have a target.
Yep, he's going to force back the force, so a big counter war brewing up here.
Yep, Counterspell, or rather Force of Will, Spell Pierce for Ben Robinson, Rest in Peace, Force of Will for Caleb.
Yep, so you're right, 6 cards in the graveyard, not quite 7.
Nope, but Ben Robinson has a Lightning Bolt, so he can put 7 there if he wants to.
Yep, and I imagine he will.
Yep, we should see that here.
He's going to bolt Caleb. Caleb's down to 14. He can hit Caleb to 11, and I almost feel like he's going to make the second Mongoose and be cold to the Terminus.
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
No, I mean, the thing is that shaves 2 turns off Caleb's clock. I would have played. I think I like the second one there. Maybe not. Okay, clearly, well, there's a Terminus in Caleb's hand.
Right, but not on the top of it. Wow.
There it is. Okay, there is one there.
So Ben Robinson proves us wrong.
Proves us wrong.
He keeps that 1 Nimble Mongoose in reserve. He just has to hope that Caleb Durward does not have Counterspell.
No, I mean, he probably doesn't. It seems like he wouldn't. They had kind of did this really large counter war already once. Caleb does not find another Terminus.
Right.
I almost expected him to just the third card down and say, oh, hey, another Terminus.
Look at that.
Look at that. That's good here, right? All right, Caleb. 2 mana. He's going to cast a Energy Field.
Wow, so he's not going to be happy to see the last card in Ben Robinson's hand is Wasteland.
Oh, my.
Ben Robinson almost entered his attack phase right there. It was close.
That was really unfortunate for Caleb.
Yeah.
One of the few ways that Energy Field can be gotten rid of, and there it was right there.
Right, and
Caleb,
Ben Robinson had been holding that Wasteland the whole game, waiting for a non-basic.
All right, Caleb putting out that Terminus in his hand, just getting even worse. Dust Bowl comes down for Caleb. He has Terminus Entreat the Angels as the 2 cards in his hand. 8 life. Ben may have stolen this game on a mull to 5.
Yeah,
Wow.
he had to Force of Will and he mulls to 5, but he's still in it here. He's on the aggressive, and he's gonna win that.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's the favorite here. This has just been a brilliantly played game by Ben Robinson.
Yeah.
I mean, what he has to worry about is Caleb just making. Okay, Caleb's gonna Dust Bowl. Interesting. And now there's that out. Caleb also could simply just try to top into 2 lands and Terminus him.
Yeah, pretty interesting. He wants
by doing that, he's Brainstorm or bust almost.
Right.
Swords to Plowshares. Swords to Plowshares. Sure, these are cards. Caleb's gonna top again. He's drawn one of them. Maybe the third one's better. It's an eye. It's a Plains. Great. And I think that's why I didn't really like the Dust Bowl play.
Yeah, I'm not really sure about that. 2 straight Plains would let him entreat for 1, or 2 straight lands would let him.
I mean, the problem has been since Drawn Days.
Right. And there's
the Lightning Bolt, and Ben Robinson defeats Caleb Durward 2-0, moves on to our finals.
Wow, congratulations, Ben Robinson. I really liked how he played both of those games. I think he played really well and definitely earned that victory. So Caleb Durward, he won't get another trophy this weekend. He won't add it to his mantle, but he'll have to settle for a top 4 finish. That's pretty good for a 162-person
tournament. And as we see,
tournament.
the sideboard from Ben Robinson, he still did board in the life in the lungs, it looks like.
Wow.
That is a bold play.